Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. We're here at Donelson's motorcycle shop. We're about 20 miles northwest of downtown St. Louis. We're in St. Anne, St. Louis. This was the home of Neil King. Neil King was one of the top motorcycle racers at Santa Fe Speedway, and I learned quite a bit about motorcycle racing from Neil King. We come back here every year to honor him. I had the opportunity to talk to some of the racers, and the next 10, 12, 14 minutes, we're going to see what they have to say about Donelson's, getting together with this racing thing and what racing was like back in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. This annual motorcycle racing event is held at Donelson Cycle in St. Anne, Missouri. And I had the opportunity to talk to Dennis Mahan. Dennis Mahan built the Gold-Star for Neil King in 1961. Neil King won 19 of 29 final events at Ascot Park. And he also won the AMA 8-mile national championship at Ascot Park in 1961. I had the opportunity to talk to the builder of the motorcycle that Neil King dominated at Ascot Park, Dennis Mahan. So let's go to that interview right now.
Hi, I'm Dennis Mahan. I tuned for Neil King from 1960 through 1966, through his primary years when he was the top guy at Ascot. We became almost like brothers. We did everything together away from the racetrack. We hunted, we fished, we scuba dived, we went to swap meets, we became family.
Well, he was a dominant, now, Ascot Park, we should mention to people that they ran from April all the way through October, every Friday night. Gardenia, California, so it's right in the LA area. So you had thousands and thousands of people. You used to have great spectator turnout, and
we usually had somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 spectators, which for a Friday night half mile was a good crowd. Back in those days, the riders got a percentage of the gate. Neil, in 1961, there were 29 races at Ascot. Neil won 19 of those 29. And he never finished worse than, I believe, third all that year. And that was the same year he won the 8-mile national at Ascot.
And now Neil also has mentioned to me that Ascot was very dangerous. Do you remember that too? Was it?
It was very dangerous. It was a very sticky cushion track, so speeds were very high for a half mile, and there were usually on average from 59 to the middle 60s, 3 or 4 riders killed every year. And the reason was it was so close action and so fast that if a rider fell down, there were riders all over him.
Neil, so he raced what years? When did he finally move to the Midwest? How did that?
He moved to the Midwest in, I believe it was 1966. He was tired of the Ascot thing and wanted to race more in the Midwest, so he packed his stuff up and moved to St. Louis.
But that's where he made his name, was Ascot. I mean,
yes.
He was and he also told me how he worked with the Sonic Well frame and then the Trackmaster frame. He was instrumental.
He worked closely with Ray Hensley, who was Sonic Well frame, and then the name was changed to Trackmaster when they came with swing arm frames. And Neil was always there, always talking to him about, don't do it that way, do it this way, and very instrumental in the design of the Trackmasters.
And then later on, even the Star Racer frame.
Later on, the Star Racers out of was it Wichita, Kansas, I think it was, with Larry Kennedy. But at that time, Ray Hensley had also come back from Canada, and him and Neil were together again at Star Racer.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the engine, the Gold-Star that Neil rode against 750 twin Harleys. No.
Oh, yeah.
750 twin Harley flatheads. The Gold-Star was a 500 single overhead valve engine.
Yes.
So what was the key that made that bike work so well? How much engine work did you do? Anybody helping you out with cams and all that, or?
No, I did all the cam stuff myself. I selected what I wanted to use. I didn't have any cam company support or anything. I did the cylinder head myself, which was very important. In 1960, I went to a dual spark plug cylinder head for the single and made my own distributor and own ignition system. Other than that, there were some small things that we did internally in the engine to make sure the oil pump turned free, make sure that I had oil scrapers in the crankcase to pull oil off the flywheels, and just little things like that. Set us ahead of the other BSAs at Ascot.
4-speed transmission, what clutch? Any changes to the clutch or anything that you?
We changed the clutch from the 6-spring BSA clutch to a 4-spring Triumph clutch. Transmission didn't do anything there other than make sure it always shifted well and shined up some of the gears in that to make it turn a little freer. But basically BSA stuff.
This bike here is, you say, tell me about this bike here and compare it to the one. Whatever happened to the one that you're racing? Is that
I still
gone?
own it.
Oh, you still own it? All right.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me that.
Well, the bike that Neil rode in the early 60s that he set all the stuff, all the records at Ascot and won the 8-mile national on was my personal bike that I had bought new in 1958 as a factory built flat track racer. The bike here in the museum was Neil's personal bike that he had blown up and wanted to ride mine for a couple of weeks till he fixed his. And that couple of weeks turned into 5+ years. But when Neil left California, of course, he took his own bike with him, and that became his primary racer back here till they went to 750s. And then he switched over to BSA for a while, and then Triumph.
And the bike, where's that bike now, Nick?
The original Ascot number 10 bike is in my shop in California, my personal shop behind my house, under plastic, just sitting back there, looking just like it did at Ascot in 1961.
All right, so what was the total number of wins at Ascot?
Oh, total number. Probably somewhere near 25 or 30 main event wins at Ascot. But like I said, he won 19 out of 29 in one season. So we were pretty dominant. We were dominant enough and confident enough that we could win that I actually helped Gary Bray, who had Ralph Light and Dan Hobby riding for him. I helped him with his engine. And he was one of our tough competitors. But Neil and I both at that time felt nobody could beat us.
Thank you, Dennis. As we look at this bronze statue of Neil King again on that Gold-Star. For more information, it's Donelson Cycle, 9851 St. Charles Rock Road, St. Anne's, Missouri, 314-427-1204, DonelsonCycles.com. If you want to contact me, my email is teamdan45@gmail.com. Don't forget TeamChicago.tv, WalkWithDan.com, and on YouTube, search with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing. I want to thank everybody at Donelson Cycle again and all the national motorcycle racers that attend this event every year.